はい。というわけで、はい、こんばんは。ひろゆきです。昨日僕日本に帰ってきたばっかりで、若干眠いんですけども、時差ボケ的な何かで、はい。というわけで、ジェームスと1ヶ月からずっと一緒にいたわけですけども。
どうだった1ヶ月。
眠いね、今。
眠いね、昨日来て。でもね、我々のために今日、はい、日程も合わせて来てくれたクリストファー・プールさん。
おー。So, Pooh.
So,
nice to see you again.
パチパチパチみんなパチパチしてあげて。
Could you introduce yourself a little bit to the Japanese guy?
My name is Christopher Poole. I go by Moot online, and I'm the founder of 4chan, and most recently a company called Canvas.
どっちが強くする？
まあ会話しながらする。だから今回日本に来てくれたのも、まあ2ちゃん作った人と会いたいっていうのは元々のきっかけだったよね。オースティンでサウスバイサウスウェストで会って、で日本で会おうって言って、で彼はハンドルネームがムートっていうんだけど、まあ本名がクリストファー・プール
で4ちゃんの創業者と。で今はキャンバス。Is it the CEO of Canvas?
Are you the
CEO? Chief Executive Officer?
Yes.
でキャンバスっていう新しいサイトでやっていて、その CEO.
And then Canvas is www.canv.as. Like that?
Yeah.
Which country is AS?
American Samoa.
American Samoa?
Yeah.
American Samoa.
あ、そんなのがあるんだ。AS。
だからドットが入ってるけど、普通に読むとキャンバスで、キャンバスっていうと英語でこのペンキを塗る時の
下書きみたいな、絵を描く時の
布でできたような、
そう、キャンバス日本語で通じると思うんだよね。
キャンバス通じるね。そうそう。
をURL にしていて、
そう。
画像をいじったりできるサービス。So, yeah, I'm telling what this canvas is. So he said it's like a painting board.
Yeah, what it means literally, and then. But so we wanted to start. If we're going to go by this,
okay.
We were going to start with Hiroki talking about 2channel.
はい、じゃあ2ちゃんについてまず僕が喋るのいいですか？Yeah, I'm going to tell about 2channel.
Yeah.
2チャンネルは僕が11年前ぐらいに作ったサイトです。
以上。はい、ありがとうございました、ひろゆきさん。はい。
I made the 2channel 11 years ago. That's it. It's kind of a message board 掲示板で、僕がやってた頃は月1000万人ぐらいが見に来てる。で、unique user is like 10 million per month. And ページビューが2億から3億ぐらい。200 million to 300 million page view per day. Now, I'm not sure right now, so when I was Manisha, yeah, that's the number. So I'm not sure number right now. So というわけで今の数字はよくわかんないんですけど、僕がやった頃はそんな感じの数字でした。はい。で、あとなんか2ちゃんの説明は大丈夫なのかな？So I'm wondering maybe so 日本の人は知ってるわけです。So Japanese know much about the 2channel, so I don't need to tell in Japanese. So
英語でやった方がいいんじゃない？
I'm wondering yeah, 4chan guys maybe that don't know about me and don't know much about the 2channel. So でじゃあ英語の人だけに聞くことって難しいよね。So how many 4chan guys knows about the 2channel? ってアンケートで出すの難しいもんね。
あ、出せる。
本当に？じゃあ英語で出せます？
運営スタッフ大変だけど、多分ね、10秒ぐらいあればできると思う。So what we're trying to do is a questionnaire to ask how many people know about
all of
2channel. But a lot of people actually know.
Can you comment this?
Yeah.
Okay. ジェームスは英語だとかっこいい。
じゃあ日本語だとなんだって感じだよね。So it's funny. Some of these comments are pretty good. It's like when you're speaking English,
What is the www?
www means to laugh. Warai is the name. The number 8 is pachi.
It's clapping.
Clapping. So Oh, how old are you?
I'm 23 now.
You're 23?
Yep.
Wow. Hiroyuki, how old are you?
34?
No.
Yes. 34, man.
38じゃなかった。
いや、4ですよ。
34?
はい。
それはちょっと。
You're around 40, right?
まあ、アラフォーですよ。そう、それはしょうがない。
So 23 though, when did you graduate your university?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I was 15 when I founded 4chan, so I was in high school, and I went to school. I went to college after high school, and then I left school to work, and then I left school again. I went back to school, and then left school to for a second time to found the new company Canvas. I was
通訳をちゃんとやって。
だから学校中退して15歳の時に、まあ、2003年に、4chanを作って、でその時に、作ったのはいいけどやっぱり新しい企業を作るためにはもう一回学校に戻って、でキャンバスという会社を作ったと。でまあ彼後で多分説明するけども、まあ、やっと資金も集めてちゃんとした企業として、まあ、運営中。
なんで4chanを作ろうと思ったのかと。Why did you make the 4chan?
When I was 15 during the summer of 2003, I found anime. Like until that point, like I didn't watch any anime, and so I started to watch.
Which kind of anime?
I don't even remember. I guess like the more like the mainstream shows, like Cowboy Bebop. And
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, and so I discovered anime and was a member of a sub forum that people had posted about Futaba channel, and so I started to use Futaba, and I can't read Japanese, so I just went to Futaba to enjoy the pictures. And what really struck me about it was the the visual culture, the visual kind of language, and it was just a lot of fun to browse, and especially being able to refresh the page and get like a whole new slate of posts. I mean, in most of the English like Western BBS. You could spend say like 5 or 10 minutes and kind of exhaust all the threads on a board, and then you would have to wait hours or days to come back for it to be kind of fresh again. And what was really exciting about Futaba was the fact that you could just sit there and every minute you could just refresh and you get a whole new slate of posts. So I just took their software and translated it into English and made like a few little minor tweaks to it and threw it up for English users.
はい。
長いEvery now and then you gotta stop. 簡単に言うと、まあ4chanありがとう。4chan作ったのはやっぱりその双葉チャンネル見た時にすごく惹かれて、もともといろんな若い子も日本のアニメが大好きで、やっぱりアニメっていう切り口から入って、で双葉チャンネル見て、で当然日本語はできないんで、ちょっと絵だけを毎回リフレッシュする時も新しいものがどんどん出てきて、その面白さに惹かれて、それで4chanっていうのを作ったと。でもちょっと聞きたいのは、なんで4chanっていう名前にしたかって聞きたくない？っていうかその前になんで2chanっていう名前つけたの？
まあとりあえず4chan先聞こうよ。
So one of the questions we actually got from the users is, why did you decide to call your service 4chan?
Obviously it's based on Futaba, which is 2chan, and I believe 3chan was taken at the time, and so 4 was the next available number, and so I registered it originally as a .net, but the domain got taken away. It got it didn't lapse, but it was suspended at one point back in 2003, and so I had to register a .org, and it's been that ever since.
なるほど。一回.net で、URL 取ったんだけど、それが取られて.orgにしたんだけども、2チャンネルっていうのが双葉が持ってて、3チャンネルもどっかが取ってて、でその次は4chan、もう順番で決めたらしい。
で最初のエンジニアが実はいるんですよね。So there is a first engineer of the 4chan, right?
Yeah, engineer.
Is his name John?
Yeah.
一番最初のエンジニアも実は日本に一緒に来てて、
also known as green shirt guy from Otakon. Not green shirt anymore.
So you also made favorite icon, yeah.
Yeah, and the layout. But we also worked with a bunch of people to translate it over to a more clean HTML and be lighter too. Alex, I don't know his name.
And then isn't one of your moderators here too?
Yeah.
Oh.
あと4ちゃんのモデレーターも隣の。
そこはなんかね、連絡ないだから一応エンジニアもやったし、あと今のフェボライトのアイコン横に出る四つ葉のあれを作ったのも彼で、他にも一応エンジニアアレックスとかいたんだけどねみたいな話ですけど。はい。
Led by a bunch of kids so young. So how old are you guys?
I'm 26, so I was 18 at the time the site started. And I'm 23, so
Oh, so you both met when you were 15, and you were a little bit older. みんな若いね。平均年齢っていうともう23、4ぐらい。
もう23、23、26。
Yeah.
訳すの諦めてるよね。
あ、忘れてるだけ。
He got the translate.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the
It's your
translate.
job, man.
Yeah, okay. Everybody's young.
Yeah, except you.
No, we're just saying the average age at 4chan. Everybody, moderators, developers, everybody's just
20. Yeah.
So what is your user base like? How many people, demographic-wise? I know it's hard to get data, but...
Yeah, it's definitely hard to get good data. But the site, when it was founded, it was seeded to a small community of about 20 people in a chat room. And since then, that was about almost exactly 8 years ago, October 1st, 2003. And since then, it's grown from 20 users to now about 12 million per month. And they make about 1 million posts per day. And there are about, I think it's 500 million page views per month. So it's grown significantly.
10月1日の2003年に20人ぐらいの人たちが集まって、で4ちゃんを作って、で8年後、今現在ユーザーが1200万人で、だいたい1日のヒットが、PV がユニークが1 million 100万人、それと1ヶ月のヒット数が5億。すごいね。So I mean the 500 million, that's just huge. So what are people coming back for? What draws them back?
日本語でもう言わないと。今の質問。質問ね。Yeah, you got to translate Japanese and you have to speak English, right?
いや、答えが来てからまとめて言った方が段取り的にスムーズにいくじゃない。まあいいや、5億っていうのはすごい数字だけど、なんで同じ人たちが何回何回も見るか、何がその引きかっていうのを聞きたい。See, now he's confused. でしょ So it's just the same question, but in Japanese.
Okay. So why do people come back? I mean, most people enter the site through the random board, the /b, which is easily the largest and the most notorious board on the site. And I think when people start using the site, they come in through B. Again, it's kind of like the gateway drug, and eventually they kind of like fan out into the other boards, and eventually kind of find their own little community there, like the anime board or the video game board.
Are those most popular?
Yeah. So it goes B, V, A, and then there's a S, which is a pornography.
Great.
Lots of adult. Yeah. The random board is definitely not safe for work, nor is it
繋がってんだよね。
safe for anything.
Okay.
繋がってる。
Yeah.
だから今の。
Could you show what the fortune is?
Yeah, of course. Is it on the
さあ
computer?
何が出るやら。画面切り替えてもらっていいですか、こっちに。
パソコンの画面に切り替えてもらっていい？で、彼が言ったのは、B っていうボードが、一般的なボードで、あと V とか A とか、アニメゲーム系がすごい強くて、ビデオゲームアニメ、S は、H 系。
Yeah, so fortune is now showing that. So I'm wondering what's gonna happen.
Yes, this is just the main page, and then you can see posts and whatnot. And then here's an example of one of the best boards on the site. Anime board.
People say,
it's actually
people say be careful.
Yeah.
Anime board.
Yeah, they've been watching the show.
It's on your site already.
Yeah.
おお、もう上がってんだね。
もう上がってる。
So first, you are here.
Yeah.
Probably talking about Infinite Stratus. It's one of their favorite animes.
So you are one.
So I mean, it looks exactly and functions essentially exactly as Futaba. I mean, the style sheets are a little bit different, and there are some of the features. There's like a few different features, but I mean, more or less, It's kind of true. You can see Futaba is linked at the bottom, true to its roots.
まあ、双葉のリンクもついてもうほとんど機能的には一緒だし、まあ、レイアウトとか多少違うけれども、基本的な機能は全く一緒、でも早いよね彼の画面キャプチャー撮ってすぐ上げたのは、So that was anime, right?
Yeah.
So let's go see V for video games, I assume. もう超ランダムに行こう。
We don't actually talk about video games there. Let's see. Let's see. Does V ever talk about video games?
Yeah, not so bad today.
Not so bad.
Yeah. Oh.
あんまり過激的ではないね。
Yeah, they're good right now.
ゲーム TV
割と今日は普通。
ねえなんか、もっとじゃあ
What do you think?
じゃあ A に行きますか。
Yeah, they're finally matured.
Like this, why do you think this board is so bad? How did you not already know it's the second most popular board?
だからやっぱりアニメとゲームが一番強くて、その2つがダントツトップ。So between video games and anime, which is more popular?
The video games board.
Video games? ああやっぱりビデオゲームの方がポピュラー。
今どれぐらい見てるの？
どれぐらいって？
So now
Doji?
what time do you use for 4chan? You mean how long do you watch 4chan these days?
I tend to check in every day. I mean, I still actually somehow manage to read my email daily. I don't respond to all of my email, but I try to read every email I get within a day or two. And I check on the site daily, and I still do a lot of the moderation. I think I'm like in the top 5 in terms of bans and deletions. So still, I mean, pretty active with the moderation. They want me to go to JP. I don't think that's going to happen.
No?
No.
ジェームスほらうなずいてないで訳さない
ねさっきからね JP っていうやつがあって、かなり面白い映画いっぱいあったんだけどね、でまあ彼は、まあ、新しい会社を立ち上げてそれの CEO として運営してるんだけどもやっぱり毎日、このサイト見てるしなるべくメールにできるだけ返事をしてるし、トップ5のモデレーターでもあると、So you're spending a lot of your time still with 4chan. So he's asking, what's JP?
Oh, JP is it's a board we added as Japan General to kind of capture some of the stuff that didn't really fall kind of cleanly into the anime board, stuff like Toho. And it became kind of a catch-all for, again, like
Anything
Japanese culture, but like non-anime.
だからアニメゲーム以外で日本の文化に関係するものがスラ JP で入ると、だからなんだかんだ言ってなんかすごい日本の文化に特化してるよね、So let's take a look. We will look here first before we put it up.
Okay.
ここでちょっと監視して
大丈夫そうなの。
There you go.
面白い。Oh look, it's already there. これは見せてもいいんじゃない、ちょっと PC に切り替えていい、
There we go. There's Hiroki Azuma.
And where's the screenshot they took
Which screenshot?
of this show? See, there we go. ね、もうすでにね、.jp のサイトにしか出してないのに、もう JPEG が上がってる。
Find your best use.
So how people in 4chan knows about Japanese culture like Toho?
Mainly younger. I mean, the demographics skews like younger male, so pretty much just people into like nerdier interests.
やっぱりまあオタク系で男性で若い者が、まあ、この辺見てると、やっぱり日本の文化に興味あるのはやっぱり若者。
でもオフ会はなんか日本でオフ会やった時には結構年いった人がいた気がする。So you got a meeting on Akihabara, right?
Yeah.
So I watched the picture of it, but it looks like they are older than you. So
The people who showed up? I mean, it was probably about we posted about it about 24 hours in advance, and about 30 people showed up, and probably like 5 or 10 Japanese people, and then a bunch of foreigners that are living here. And I mean, it was definitely a younger crowd, or a mix. Yeah.
やだこれ草はい、わかりました。まあね、日本人では年取った人もいるけど、基本的にはね。
どこでやったのイベント？
秋葉原。
秋葉原でイベントやって、24時間前に、告知して、でもそれでも30人来て、でまあ日本人プラスやっぱりアメリカじゃない日本に住んでいる、海外の人アメリカの人。And then, so how long have you been in Japan? If you were able to do that, and
This is my 6th day.
6th day. 6日目だって日本に来て。So, what do you think so far?
It's been a good trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly just seeing friends, but eating lots of delicious food. Actually, I got in Akiba, somebody brought me a questionnaire. I guess they were like looking for tourists. And it asked a lot of questions about like why were you afraid of coming to Japan because of the the radiation and whatnot, and or like I guess it assumed that everybody's scared of traveling here, and so I had to like check note everything. And it asked me why I was here, and it said eating delicious food and shopping, and I was like, oh yeah, that's mostly the food part though.
Yeah.
秋葉でそのイベントやった時にみんなやっぱり海外の人に、その日本に来て怖くないのかって、怖くないって言ったら、まあ、放射能動向とかねいろいろあるからでなんで来たのって書いたら、まあ、食べ物と買い物しに来たと。
Actually, many Americans are scared of radiation in Japan.
Yeah, it's weird how people are freaked out.
Yeah, I was told that the term for that is now flyjin. It's like a play on gaijin.
What's that?
All the gaijin who left the country.
Oh yeah,
flyjin.
Flyjin.
Just got on the first flight out. Yeah.
Flyjin. それ面白いね。造語なんだけど、外人で飛び立った外人、まあフライの外人だからフライ人。フライ人がもうほとんどいない。
So you went to Nico Far. How did you think about it?
It was awesome.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I guess it just opened last week. You were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, そう今日はね4ちゃんじゃなくてムートさんと一緒にニコファーレ行って、150万個の LED だっけ
数忘れた
ね150万だと思う
150万
違う
How many LEDs over there?
I think it was like 1.2 million total pixels. So it was like 4.5
million, so it was 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So 150個150万個 So that was pretty awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's the first time I've seen a tech demo for a room.
部屋全体がもうデモになってて結構面白かった。So you took a picture, so you're gonna put them up, right?
Yeah.
後で4ちゃんにあげると。So, do we want to take a question for?
あ、そうだ、あれ使わなきゃいけないんじゃない4ちゃんの。
Oh, that's right. So this we could have used earlier, but it's just a description about 4chan in English.
じゃあ日本語そっち読もうか僕。
あ、そうだね。それがちょうどいい。
はいはい。4chanは誰でもコメントをつけたり画像を共有したりすることができる画像掲示板として2003年にスタートしました。4chanの共同制作コミュニティは日本で人気の電子掲示板の一つである双葉チャンネルに似せて作られており、日本と同じような掲示板群を英語で作っています。それぞれの異なる掲示板は日本のアニメ漫画文化からテレビゲーム音楽写真といったそれぞれのトピックスに特化しており、ユーザーは匿名でこのコミュニティに参加することができますと。はい。
早いね。日本語読むの早いね。
日本人だからね。
ちょっとこっちやってみてよ。ちょうだい。それちょうだい。
はいはいはい。
じゃあ逆パターン。
Okay.
So I'm gonna make it read the English one now.
Yeah. So 4chan is a simple image-based bulletin board where anyone can post comments and share images. 4chan's collaborative community format is copied from one of the most popular forums in Japan, Futaba Channel. Different boards are dedicated to different topics from Japanese anime, manga, and culture to video games, music, and photography. Users do not need to register a username before participating in the community. はい。
おー、パチパチパチパチ。
こんなんで拍手してもらえるんだ。
すごいね。
何がなんで酔っ払ってんのワイン一杯しか飲んでないよね。
バラしちゃダメよ。
Yeah, it looks like he's drunk.
We only had one glass of wine.
Just
true.
one.
Yeah. Well, let's move on because I know we want to talk about social networking and all the cool stuff you're doing now. We've got this. I don't know what to say about it.
まあ、だからそういう意味でいくとほら匿名なわけじゃないですか。で最近正反対の Facebook が大流行りなわけですよ。
Oh.
So how do you think about Facebook? It's equal as against anonymity. So maybe it's a totally different Facebook and 4chan. How do you think about Facebook?
Well, I gave a talk last year at TED where I just said a little bit about, like the culture of anonymity is definitely dwindling, and it's kind of scary to have us kind of moving towards a persistent state of identity where all of your actions are kind of recorded and indefinitely so. And so, I mean, Facebook as a product it works obviously really well for what it's intended for. It's more that Facebook has kind of ushered in. This kind of like wave of, now everybody requires you sign up or authenticate with your, profile. And it's good to have that. It's just the alternatives still need to exist. And that's just it's not to say that Facebook is bad. It's just that we need alternatives. And my fear is that if, they had their way, then there would be no alternatives.
And 4chan is one of those alternatives.
Yes.
You don't need to sign up.
Yeah.
彼は、4chan と Facebook に関しては、4chan はサインアップとかそういう個人情報を入れる必要は全くなくて、で Facebook はすごい製品、商品サービスとしてはすごくいいんだけれども、アノニミティって
匿名性アノニマスで
そうそうだから逆に今回、Facebook によってみんな自分のログインネームとかパスワードとか作って記録がずっと残る。だから Facebook はものとしてはすごくいいんだけれども、永久的なこの記録が残るということで、TED っていう大きなイベントアメリカにあるんだけれども、そこでそのスピーチをしてFacebook に代わるものっていうのも必要だなと。
補完関係だよね。
補完関係。Is that right?
Yes. All of it.
日本だとミクシーが匿名でも使える SNS として結構使われてる。で逆に Facebook は匿名だとアカウント消されちゃうっていうのがあって。
っていうか逆に作れない。So as far as anonymity, I don't know if you know Mixi, which is a big Facebook-like service here, and you can actually create an account, an anonymous account. So you can opt in or opt out, I guess, versus Facebook where you have to have an identity.
And that's the most popular network in Japan right now?
Right now, 日本では一番ポピュラーなソーシャルネットワークは
Yeah, it's the most popular one in Japan. Yeah, only Japan.
でも日本で Facebook ってどうなの？
そこそこ増えてきたよね。
So I'm just asking, Facebook relative to Mixi, how they compare, and I guess Facebook is actually getting some traction here now.
What do you think that is?
なんで Facebook が流行ってくると思う？それとも流行ってくると思う？
アメリカっぽいから。
は？
おしゃれだから。Facebook is cool. That's why we Japanese use it.
Wait, it's cool?
Yes. Yeah, they think that.
クールかね。
ほらアメリカで流行ってるものって好きじゃん。
もともと Twitter もそうだよね。So yeah, I guess things that are popular in the States, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, they some things take more time than others, but they end up permeating through.
Twitter seems to be exploding here. I mean, every single business card I've gotten has, which is many a business card, has a Twitter handle on it.
なんか日本に来て名刺交換するときにもうすべてにその Twitter の、アカウント情報が入ってる。だから日本では逆にアメリカよりもすごい流行ってんじゃないのっていう印象は受けてる。
アメリカの人逆にそこまで Twitter 使わないよね。
使わないよね。なんか友達系で使ってるよね。ビジネス系じゃなくて。So Twitter, I think in the U.S., my impression anyway, it'd be great to get your thoughts, is that people use it more for the social aspect and not necessarily as much for business as they would here.
Twitter?
Yeah.
So there's not like people using it to promote themselves, they're using it to actually have conversations?
Right.
Makes sense. I don't know much about Japanese Twitter other than you can write way more because you can express more in with less characters in Japanese. So it's kind of interesting.
日本の Twitter はそのキャラクター数が決まってるけれども 漢字があるから結構長く書けるんだよね。
情報量増えるよね。
そう、情報量は全然増えるから。
英語で140文字ってかなり短いよね。
短い。もう So yeah, because the limitation on the characters, with a phonetic or with kanji, you can get a lot more information in a lot shorter amount of space.
How about the blog? So the people using the Twitter, Facebook, so I don't think the blog is popular, not popular in United States now. Is it still popular for ordinary people?
Blogging? I mean, I think it shifted away from. You had sites like Blogger and WordPress were very popular. Like people got used to kind of long-form blogging, and now sites like Twitter and Tumblr have kind of pushed people towards more like short-form blogging. And so, Tumblr's having really strong growth in the U.S. right now, and I think they launched in Japan about a year ago, and Germany internationally, and probably in more countries now. So I think that it's still around, but blogs in the United States, like the blogs, have shifted into being more of like media, kind of like media properties. Like a lot of the popular blogs are kind of trying to make their offering look more like a magazine almost. Like Gawker did this redesign. Gawker's a big network, like all the tech, all the AOL blogs. So, but blogging with people, I think, is still popular. It's kind of shifted where it is.
昔と違ってそのブログはアメリカでは流行ってるけど形上は変わってきた。だから、Twitter はみんな知ってるけど1年前からタンブラーっていうのも出てきて、日本、ドイツ、アメリカで出て、やっぱり短い方が、良くないかと。で、大きいブログっていうのは逆にメディア化しちゃって、and you said it was Gawker?
It's one of the kind of like the GAWKER. They kind of very famously switched over there. They wanted to be less like a blog and more like a, I don't know, I guess they thought it would legitimize them or make the site better. And I think they lost like 3/4 of their traffic. It actually completely trashed their traffic because I guess people were confused and I think Google had trouble crawling it. And I don't know where their page views are now, but I know that it definitely significantly, cut them in half. But most of the AOL network blogs too are kind of adopting designs that are more reminiscent of like a news website, like a New York Times or like a magazine almost than a traditional blog.
だから大きなブログっていうのは雑誌化しようとしてたりメディアになろうとしてたりするけれども結局豪華っていうのは3分の2ぐらいの人が減ってしまったりとかあんまりうまくいかなくなってきているというのが現状。So what do you think about MySpace and all this, the Murdoch stuff, and why did they lose it? I mean, they had this huge property, and then out of nowhere came Facebook.
They just kind of let it languish. I think it was all built on Cold Fusion too. It didn't scale well. It just was always kind of like a decrepit code base, and again they just kind of let it get stale. And Facebook, and they tried to be all things to all people, from the outset. And Facebook, obviously honed in on college students, opened up to high school students, opened up to workplaces, and then eventually everybody.
Right?
Yeah, they had built a real platform. And after MySpace was bought, they were acquired by a traditional media company that you couldn't keep up with a small group of talented engineers.
で今聞いたのは今まで Facebook の話はしてたんだけどその前はもうマイスペースがダントツトップでどうしてダメになってきてるかっていうとやっぱりコードベースはコードフュージョン2であんまり拡張性がなく、しかもニュースコープに買われてやっぱり大企業特にメディア会社がすごい保守的なんでそれがもう、ちっちゃいスタートアップと比べては動きが鈍いということでやっぱり追いつかなくなったで逆に Facebook っていうのは学生に集中したり、それは大学生はじめ高校生それと企業で API を公開することによっていろんな開発者プラットフォームとして確立してるんでどんどん広まってきてるっていうのが現状。
そもそもでもマイスペースがなんで流行ったか分かんないんだよね。そもそもマイスペースがなんで流行ったかよく分かんないんだよね。So I'm wondering why MySpace getting bigger before So it's just a music site or something. So
Yeah, how they start out, how they get so popular, so big.
I honestly don't know much about the history of MySpace. Definitely not an expert there.
ちょっとね、それも彼もわからない。
なんかあれですよね。
でもやっぱりどっかに集中しないとダメみたいなね。やっぱり学生とか、大学生特にそうだし、確かに Facebook もスタンフォードの大学生が作ったんだよね。
ハーバードじゃなかったっけ？
Is Stanford?
Harvard?
Right? No. I don't think
Facebook?
Facebook.
Mark went to Harvard and dropped out of Harvard.
Yes.
And then moved to, in the summer, to Palo Alto.
Okay.
And that's where the company's based now. Actually, they have a new office in Menlo Park that they're moving into.
Okay.
Google was Stanford. Larry and Sergey were,
Google was Stanford.
were grad students. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Microsoft Apple to Stanford というわけで、じゃあ小さい会社の方が動きが早いということは、キャンバスはスモールカンパニーです。
So, yeah, so if you got to be nimble to be good, Canvas must be really tiny. How many people are there, and what are your plans?
It's 5 people, including myself.
5 people, including yourself. まあ彼も含めて5人。
Sure, Canvas to
Yeah, let's do a quick.
So the point of so Canvas was founded last year, around I think it was June that we started, and the original goal was to they kind of thought being that the form function aesthetic of message boards hadn't changed in a good decade. If you compare like vBulletin, which is a popular software as it exists today, to 10 years ago, it's essentially kind of the same. And when you look back at what message board descended from, like Usenet and dial-up BBS, again, we're talking like 10, 20 years now. And so originally the thought was, to kind of reimagine the message board for the year 2010, 2011, given more modern browsers and a much more sophisticated user, what people wanted to be doing with message board software.
Thank you for making that really short.
You can condense it.
まあキャンバスっていうのはさっき言ったように、彼も含めて、5人で今これ、パソコンの方に切り替えてほしいんですけど、これがキャンバスの、ベータページで、彼の発想っていうのはやっぱりその形、見た目、それを、10年前だったら、V ブルティンもうずっと変わってないわけで、本当に15年20年前ぐらいだったらユーズネット、で最近のメッセージボードっていうのは、ブラウザーも新しくなってるし、ユーザーの、期待感も上がってきてるし、そこを、中心に考えてキャンバスっていう、サービスを作り始めたと。
Could you tell them how to use Canvas?Yeah,
so
put the icon.
で、キャンバスは2001年の6月に始まってまだベータ中。
So the first version of the product is we knew we wanted to focus on images because that's what I know best, and in the team we were really excited about that. And so the site has 3 kind of main components: the posts themselves, the stickers that we have, and then the remix functionality. And so this is just an example of a browse page, and the content that you're seeing, and you can actually play things. Oh man, My Little Pony. On the page itself, and you can use on the left side, different stickers that kind of express a sentiment or a vote, and score content that way.
ちょっとずつ翻訳した方が楽じゃない？He's gonna translate it.
Okay, so 今見てる画面がトップページで。ここでマイリトルポーニー、可愛いポニーを出してるんだけれども、当然こういったポスティングができて、で今この赤い、ステッカーっていうのを貼り付ける、コンテンツの上に貼り付けることができる。で今、この赤いのをステッカーをポニーの目の上に貼り付けると。おYou already...
so you've already stickered that post.
2回使えないんだ。
1人1個まで。
1人1個まで。
And the threads themselves, become kind of chains of replies based on the original post, similar to sites like 4chan. This example, somebody posted just this is a clip from a webcomic, and people responded with.
So they created their own images.
Right, and then you can actually see, and a lot of these were created, we have a built-in editor, with the remix editor, and you can actually see
ギターも作ってますよと。
how these are edited, that image.
なるほど。でさっき、ポスティングができてスティッカーもあってリミックス機能っていうのがあるんだけれども、その誰かが、ポスティングしてそれを、変換させる、エディティングツールがある。でさっきのは Can you show us again the transition from the original to the next one? だから例えばこれの元になってる絵はこうやって引っ張っていくとこれですと。
And if you wanted to actually,
Let's see the PlayStation one. That looks.
yeah,
PlayStation のはちょっと気になるよね。元は何だった？ Steal all personal info. 要はこれねアメリカではすごい話題になってるけども、プレイステWhat's it called? The
PlayStation Network.
PlayStation ネットワークがすごいハッキングされて、もう個人情報が、漏れ漏れで
あれお金払ったんだっけアメリカは。
賠償金払ったと思う。Didn't they have to pay out some money?
I think they offered. They might have comped like, say, months of worth of the network usage, and then they also it was like a few months of identity theft protection or auditing, because the personal information had leaked.
個人情報漏れることによってそれモニタリングサービスの費用とか1ヶ月ただとかそういうのを一生懸命やったと。What's
This is an example where people drew.
what was the other the transition on the PlayStation one? Yeah. これもともと何だったんだろう。あれ一緒じゃん。
一応目の位置を合わせたところね。
This is an example too of this. So the
Just the eyes.
editor itself is something we built ourselves. It's just HTML. It's not Flash. It's HTML5 canvas,
こ
and
れ
it's really basic.
フラッシュじゃなくて HTML で作って。So how do we edit this if you wanted to change colors or fill?
Let's see if it's gonna work.
So people are asking, is it free or charged?
It's all free.
It's all.
Yeah.
全部無料ですと。
But do you have to be invited as a
Yeah, so it's still in a private beta, and in order to use the site, you need to either request an invite or have a friend already on it to invite you.
Okay.
And for Nico users, we created a special URL that we'll show later on the stream to sign up for the service.
すごいね。その話を聞いてなかった。なんかベータプライベート
招待制のベータ。
招待制のプライベートベータなんだけれども、ニコユーザーだけには特別に
登録できる
ようになってる。
はい。後ほどその URL。僕がね好きなのがねアイコンを置いてくから画像の属性をこうユーザーが勝手に決められるじゃん。だから可愛い画像だけ見たいと思ったらそれで並び替えしたりとか、割とそういうところは僕はこれ便利だなと思っていて。
He really likes the fact that you can rearrange things. So if you like pretty girls like we know Hiroki does, then you can put them all together in the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the way the site's designed is meant to kind of incorporate, 8 years of kind of learning from 4chan and just, having grown up with chat rooms and message boards, and you kind of take that knowledge and try to use it to, I guess that's kind of offensive, to do this new site. Is that offensive in Japan? Is the middle finger? No. Okay, well, then not offensive.
やっぱり8年間4chanをやってそれのノウハウを蓄積して、キャンバスにそれを全部反映させようと。なので並び替えとかステッカーとかそのリミックスとか本当にね昔からやりたかったことを、ちゃんとした企業としてやると。で 4chan は4chan is still it's all volunteers, right, that are running it.
4chan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 4chan was never really a real company. I've always kind of maintained it as a hobby or just kind of a project of mine. And it's always been basically just me with the help of lots of volunteers. We have volunteer moderators. People like John, helped out with the code really early on, and we have a part-time developer who does most of the kind of code work now, and probably about anywhere between 20 and 50 moderators who are active, removing content or kind of banishing users that break the rules.
で今4chanの話にちょっと戻ったんだけど、 基本的には、20から50人ぐらいのモデレーターがいて、でデベロッパー1人いるんだけども、基本的には企業ではないので、彼も参加してるし、でもそこでやりきれなかったことを企業でやっていこうと。でその発想のもとに、Canvas.as を作ったと。
How many people work with you on 2chan? I mean, how is...
Well, we moderate maybe 300 moderators.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot more than 4chan.
the half of them doesn't work. Just they got the rights to delete message, but they don't use.
2チャンネルのモデレーター300人もいるの。
削除する人は。まあでも登録してるだけで何もしない人が多い。そんなもんです。
サーバーはどこに置いてあるの？
サーバーアメリカ。Yeah, 2chan server is in the California.
And where are your servers for 4chan?
Also in California, Los Angeles.
Is that because of bandwidth or?
Yeah, we just. I mean, I have a friend who works at a data center right downtown, and they were able to get us an incredible deal on hosting because 4chan does something like 2,000 megabits per second, day in day out to serve all of those, especially because it's a media site. And so, we were able to negotiate like an affordable, because if we were paying like for premium bandwidth, the site, we use ads to make money, to make revenue, and they do okay. They're the site has kind of in the past been kind of hit or miss. Like the site went down a few times back in 2003, 2004, and luckily the ads have sustained it now for the past few years, but it's a no frills hosting setup.
Well, that's what we should do is put Nico ads on. That'd be hilarious. バンド幅に関しては、サーバーはロスに置いてあるんだけども、バンド幅っていうのは、2000メガビットパーセック。
2ギガ
？2ギガ。
で、広告収入だけでやっている。あとはボランティア。で2003年4年には何回か落ちたんだけど、あれ以来はほとんど落ちてないので。
Why do you give up to receive the donation?
Why did we stop? So the last time we accepted donations was in 2005. It was a campaign we did in the fall, and it was called Donate or Die 2005. And we raised about $14,000 that way. And the promise was, if people donated, I would purchase servers and co-locate them for 1 full year. And since that day, that's the last. I mean, we haven't accepted a single cent, a single donation since then. So in late 2005, and I mean, more it just has to do with I just don't like that model. I mean, I think the site should be totally free and open to all of its users, and we just shouldn't be asking people for money. Like the ads that we run are pretty unobtrusive. I mean, there are only 3 banner ads per page. They're actually now they're all clean. Pretty much they're all generally work safe. And I don't think it's too much to ask for people to at least just look at those 3 small ads that they it's not, and we don't put ads in the content too, which is what most people do. For a site as large as 4chan, we definitely we don't monetize it to the maximum. It's basically we put enough ads to make sure it breaks even, because again, like 4chan is not really treated like a company by me. It's treated as I want to continue to run the site and host it for as long as I can. And so as long as it breaks even, I'm happy.
4chan っていうのは基本的には、ドネーションは1回だけ、でっかいのは$14,000、今の為替だと77円で計算すると110、
その当時だから120円ぐらいだと思う。
120だから150万ぐらい、ドネーションもらって、その時のキャンペーンとしてはドーネート・オア・ダイ、要はサイト自体はドネーションがなければ死んでしまうよということで、でもあれからはもうずっとドネーションを受けずに、バナーアッドを3つ出してて、それでブレイクイーブン、ここでは儲かるっていうよりもコミュニティを重視してるので、企業は企業、コミュニティはコミュニティっていうのは自分の中ではすごいはっきりしている。So, we've got a bunch of questions, and they keep coming in from users. Do you want to field a few?
Yeah, of course.
So, I'll let you read that one first.
Which one?
So the question is, do you know about the hacker group Anonymous, and if so, how do you feel about it? So for those who...
だから質問としては、アノニマスという団体
ソニーだよね
は知ってますかと。で知ってればそれに関してどう思いますかと。
So Anonymous is a group that kind of can trace its roots back to 4chan, specifically the B-board. And it came into being, I think, a little more than 3 years ago. I believe it was February 2008 when a video of Tom Cruise was posted on YouTube. And he was stumping for the Church of Scientology. He's a member. And it was kind of an embarrassing video because he was kind of fanatical. And so the Church of Scientology sent a cease and desist to YouTube. They took it down, and in doing so, kind of angered the internet. And all of a sudden, people on 4chan and other sites kind of got together and decided to make a statement about that. And within a month, organized real world, IRL, off-kai, protests in, I believe, something like 100 different cities around the world, and continued. The group, was moved off of 4chan within a number of days, and now it's its own unique group, its own unique community. These different message boards that aren't 4chan, and to this day continue to go after causes that they support.
アナネメシスっていうのは当然知ってて、でもともとは2月の2008年に、トム・クルーズの映像が YouTube に上がって、で日本で知られてるかどうかわからないけど、サイエントロジーっていうちょっと変わった宗教にハマってて、でその映像が望ましくないということで YouTube にそれを消してくれと。でもともとは4chan のB、普通のところにその人たちが集まって、プロテストし始めて、で団体ができたと。それがもともとのきっかけで、and so how do you feel about what they do?
I've never actually participated in, I've never posted on the forums or been a member of the chat, and I've never been to any of the protests. So my involvement is non-existent, but I've, kind of like everybody else, been a casual observer of it. And, I think it's fascinating that so many people were able to come together at once and, kind of have a common bond, and to, take that and then move it into an offline, protest. And the movement has sustained itself for, years now. And so it's certainly been interesting to watch.
自分としては参加はしないけれども、ずっと見てて、長く続くっていうのと、やっぱりあれだけすごく何百人いるかわかんないけど、すごい固まって、熱意がすごいというふうには思っていますと。Okay, so shall we move on to another question? Let's find a hard one. This is an interesting one. What functionalities make a fun website on a user-driven site, and how can developers help grow and expand user-uploaded content?
Well, I think one of the main draws to 4chan, my main draw to Futaba, although I couldn't understand it, was the fact that it was just constantly updating, and you could really kind of sense the presence of other users, even though none of the pages on both Futaba and 4chan are delivered in real time. We don't have live comments, live chat like you do on Nikodo and all these other sites, but you can sit there and just refresh pages and see new content and be in threads, simultaneously with other users. And it's that kind of presence and that activity that takes place in a small confined space that I think is very interesting and fun to participate in, and that's why part of the reason 4chan has kind of been the center for a lot of this meme culture. It's like you take a lot of people and you squeeze them into a very small place. 4chan is 12 million people and 50 boards, and a large chunk of that traffic is just in the B board, and so you've got millions and millions of people just kind of squeezed into this small little space of 15 threads per page times, I think it's 16 pages now, and out of that comes a lot of creativity.
質問としては、ウェブサイトの面白い機能とは何か、特にそのユーザージェネレーテッドコンテンツが、メインのサイトで、ムートさんは、やっぱり双葉でも 4chan でも、見るたびにどんどん更新されていて、でニコ動みたいにねリアルタイム性はないけれども、必ず新しいものが入ってくるので、それがすごい面白い。で、彼のもう一つの発想としては、例えば、B ボードっていうのがメインのボードなんだけれども、その、50個のボードしかない中で、この B ボードが一番流行ってて、15スレッドの、16ページしか ない。要はちっちゃな部屋に多くの人を入れる。でどんどん新しいコンテンツが上がっていく。その面白さは、やっぱりユーザージェネレートサイトの、強みっていうか、そこが一番面白いポイント。Okay. So another question. 日本では悪者の2ちゃんですが、
悪者とかじゃ
悪者。日本では悪者の2ちゃんですが、4ちゃんは欧米ではどんな感じでしょうかと。So the question, this is the one that we were talking about earlier. 2chan is infamous in Japan. How is 4chan viewed or perceived in the US? Does it have a good reputation, bad reputation?
It has a pretty mixed reputation. For a long time, people didn't know 4chan. They knew the products of it, the content, the culture, the memes and whatnot that had been produced on the site and kind of made their way out of the site onto the internet. And then some of those things made it into the mainstream culture. And so the best examples of that would be, it pains me to say this, but the lolcats, which is like these kind of silly pictures of cats with captioned with text, and that became this kind of viral sensation and something that started on kind of migrate, kind of traces its roots to 4chan and then other sites, and became a mainstream kind of hit with the American public. And so people knew stuff like that, but they didn't really know where it came from. And the press didn't write about 4chan until 2008. And so for a long time, 4chan was creating a lot of this culture and kind of was notorious in its own sense, but only to a very small number of people. And since then, I think the site is more well known, especially, I mean, you were saying, like, what is it, like 1 out of every 3 or so young people in Japan has a Nico. Yeah. So I think it's similar to that. I mean, most people who are, say, 18 to 25 and subscribe to kind of a younger, more hip, say, I don't know, nerdier, web savvy kind of a culture probably are at least familiar with 4chan. If maybe they use it, maybe they don't. And it's still niche, but I think it's becoming more kind of widely known. And the perception varies kind of. It's kind of like a fair weather kind of thing. Sometimes the site will produce a hit kind of meme and people laugh, and then other times the site will do something that is maybe a little more malicious or a little more distasteful, and then people maybe have a negative opinion for that.
それぞれ、4ちゃんに関しては、いろんな意見があるんだけれども、半々ぐらいかなと。で最初は猫系の映像がすごく多かったんだけどその印象が結構長く続いてすごい嫌だったんだけど、で実際には2008年までは、そのウェブカルチャーっていうのを育てて、それまでは人がすごい少なかったんだけども、今だとおそらく18歳から25歳、ちょっとオタク系で、ウェブに詳しい人たちは、4ちゃんっていうこと自体は知っている、アメリカにおいては知っている。で当然その内容によりきりなんだけれども、ヒットする、面白そうなものも出れば評判は良くなるし、ちょっと変なものが出てくると評判は悪くなるし、なんか2ちゃんと似てるような
一緒じゃないそういうところは
すごい似てると思う。
It's like 2chan now.
I was just saying it's just like 2chan.
What are the memes or kind of like exploits that 2chan is best known for? Or any recent things come to mind?
2ちゃんで社会問題を起こしてる。
recent one. The 電車男 is famous, good one.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
I've seen that show. We went to Ko and I went to the Benoist, the Hermes store, and then also the Benoist to have the tea like he does.
Oh yeah.
That was 3 years ago though.
Yeah, 3 years ago. 最近はよく知らないんだよね。Yeah, I don't know much about it right now in 2chan. Maybe there is some, but I'm not sure.
最近見てないの？
最近はね、もうニュース速報板っていうところでニュースを見てゲラゲラ笑ってるだけです。Yeah, I'm using for just news 速報。Name of the
news flash.
News flash board and just reading news.
Do you use VIP?
Not much right now.
もう一つ簡単な質問。そもそもなんでなんちゃんって言うんですか？ So simple question. Why did you start with something channel? And you may have answered that already.
I mean, because the site is based on Futaba.
Futaba.
Yeah, Futaba channel. So it was just keeping with that with the name. And the software is, at that point, pretty much identical. It's just translated into English.
And what about 2chan? 2チャンネルは
ああ、なんだっけな。アメゾーっていう掲示板があって、それの基本的に真似だったので。
アメゾ
アメゾー。
So
アメゾー。
アメゾだからアメゾからなんで2ちゃんなの？
ああ、サブっていう意味で2ちゃん。
あ、なるほどね。そのよく映画で日本語吹き替えと英語の部分とかそういう感じ？
もうそんな感じ。
適当だね。So we understand that you about Futaba and that relationship, and then so you skipped 3 because someone had it, and so you're 4. I asked him how he got to 2chan.
Yeah, there was the name Amezo. There was a kind of board, and so I was a user of the Amezo, and I tried to make a message board or like that. I mean, like Amezo. So it's kind of a second hand and second channel. So that's why 2channel is the name I named it. So はい、アメゾンさんのおかげです。
Okay, so we'll take a couple more questions and then maybe wrap it up.
Yeah.
So first one is how did you come up with Moot?
That story isn't actually very interesting.
Or Rob or you go by many aliases.
I do go by many aliases. Moot was just I started using Moo for whatever reason, and eventually it became Moot. I actually did pick Moot before I knew Moot was a word. I was very young, or before I understood what a moot court or a moot point was, and yeah, over time, over the past few years, I've gone by many different names. I still, most people don't actually believe my name is Christopher. At this point, I've gone by Robert, Richard. I mean, people have their own theories as to what my name is and how old I really am and where I really live. So, people will always have their theories.
面白いのはちょうどね、どこにいたっけ先週？コミコン。
コミコン。
サンディエゴで彼の知り合いが出てきて、来週ムートと会うんだねって言われて、でムートはもともとロブだったりで今はクリストファーと言ってるんだけど、本当の名前が誰も知らないみたいなね、本当の年と本当の名前で、ムートっていうのは無意味なっていうのは直訳で、
あ、そうなんだ。
そうだからムートポイントとかね、そういう無意味なポイントなんだけど、多分クリストファー・プール、多分 Do you have any ID on you? ID カード見せて。
Maybe Christopher Poole. Maybe not. Nobody knows.
で、じゃあ最後の質問にしようか。時間が押してるので、お二人がそれぞれ想像する、究極なソーシャルメディア、あるいはソーシャルメディアの最終形は何でしょうか。
It's tough.
いや、そんなのないでしょ。
I thought it was a good question.
英語で聞いてないよ。
So it's a question for both of you. It says 二人って書いてあるからね。So it says to both of you, what is your image of the 究極
final,
extreme or final, or where do you think social network is going, or where social media is going? What will it be like in 10 years, 20 years? We talked about bulletin boards, 20 years ago. What do you think social networking will be like 20 years from now?
You get to go first.
Yeah, I said there's no ultimate social media or something like that. So there should be like a Facebook, so real name world, and there should be like an anonymous one, like ours. So there is no such thing perfect social media. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, people right now are working on kind of decentralized alternatives. In the U.S., a really good example of that was a project called Diaspora, and it started as a Kickstarter, as a kind of like a crowdfunding, group funding project, and it was for students. And they started, and they envision a world kind of similar to the way WordPress works, where you can have your own blog and you can host it yourself, and then they can all be interconnected. I mean, blogs are all kind of interlinked, and so they think it should be the same way with your profile and with your your personal data like that. And so people would run their own nodes, and so it's an interesting idea. I don't know that the world is ready for it, right this minute, but I think it's hard to imagine. Like Facebook is approaching 1 billion users, in the next few years at least, or maybe even only a year from now. And that is their goal. That's the milestone they're driving for, is 1 billion users in one place. And obviously there are a lot of kind of pros that come along with that in terms of you've built a really strong graph, and it's hard to then kind of extract people from a site like that when they've got all of their friends and interests there. But people always kind of crave alternatives. I mean, every misstep that Facebook makes, it creates an opportunity for another company to come in and exploit that. I mean, like all businesses, Microsoft, Google. And so it's hard to imagine Facebook being on top forever. And hopefully sites like Diaspora, or kind of the more decentralized, and sites like 2chan and Futaba and 4chan, will continue to exist and offer an alternative to people.
彼は was it
Diaspora, D-I-A-S-P-O-R-A.
デスペラっていう、クラウドファンディングっていうのがあって、それは自分の、ブログ、自分の世界を作って他のブログと連携取る。で多分今すぐには無理だけれども、例えば自分のノードを持ったりとか、そこまで、なっていく可能性もあるんじゃないかと。で今だと一箇所、例えば Facebook だったら一箇所にすごい集中しているけれども、もうちょっとディーセントラライズとなんていうの、分散された形になっていくだろうと。ただしFacebook の目標っていうのが、ユーザーがあと1年で10億人、1ビリオン、10億人を、狙っていると。ただし Facebook が何か一つでも間違えたら次にチャンスが出てくるから、いろんな企業が出てくるだろうと。だからもっともっと活性化していく、業界としてはもっともっと面白くなってくる。で一番いい例としては、例えばマイクロソフトだったら5年前10年前だったら Google ができる前にもうマイクロソフト、だけだったのが Google がいきなり出てきて、新しいサービスが展開された。でそういった可能性は今後、どんどん出てくるんで、結構その辺は楽しみ。
はい。
Apple is better than hey
彼は元々マイクロソフト社員。
いや
He was a Microsoft guy.
So any last thoughts on Canvas? Anything you want to say about it? Try it out. When are your plans to actually roll out the final service?
Yeah, we'll be opening it up probably in the coming weeks or months. It's still very, very early and very, very beta. It represents just a kind of a kernel of the long-term vision for the site. But we're having fun with it as a team, and we think our community is having fun with it, and we'd love to see more people use it so we can collect more feedback and grow it kind of organically, as 4chan did. And 4chan, and I've said this in the American media too, but they'll always continue to be separate. I mean, 4chan offers its own distinct kind of offer, its own product, and has its own unique community, and we don't want to have any sort of impact on that. And as long as 4chan can sustain itself, I'm more than happy to continue running it for as long as I can. But Canvas will be the thing that I'm focusing on right now.
Right. 彼は今後数週間数ヶ月で、キャンバスをベータから、ファイナルの方に持っていきたいんだけれども、今本当に楽しくチームとしてはどんどんよく改良していって、でベータユーザー、に対してはぜひフィードバックくださいと。でそのフィードバックによってどんどんサイトがみんな使いやすくするし面白くするし、なので期待してくださいと。で彼としてはすごいこだわりがあって、4chanは4chanであって、欲しいしそのまま継続していくし、でキャンバスはキャンバスで、違ったことができるということで、みんな本当に期待してほしいと。
Yeah, it's like for me, 2channel and Nico Nico 動画.
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
2channel is just 2channel, so I don't wanna.
Have you found it? I mean, how has it been managing having, a full-time job doing Nico, and having 2chan still kind of on the side as a hobby project? Do you still find time for both, or?
I mean, so you mean the part-time job for 2chan?
あとは2ちゃんとニコニコを両方やって結構大変じゃない？
I don't use much time for 2chan, so it's not a big deal. Just a swing thing, legal issues take something, but time isn't so important.
Yeah, that was actually one of the questions about your lawsuits and how are they going? And then for you, have you ever been sued or have you seen any legal issues, or how do you avoid them in the U.S. or Europe?
For me?
だからユーザーの方からいろいろ裁判の話が出てきて、あまり細かく言えないんだけど、
別に全然細かく言っていいんですけど僕がね訴えられたのってでもね大体10年前ぐらいだから実はね時効が来てるんだよね。
あ、時効って 7年だっけ？
10年。
あ、10年。
時効って英語でなんて言うんだろうね。
It's
a court order.
Yes.
So my first suit is like 10 years ago. So court order is expired already. So
it's the statute of limitations.
So I'm getting the normal. So it's not a big deal.
So that was his strategy. Statute of limitations 10 years. じゃあ10年待つっていうのが戦略だったのね。
はいはいはい。
時効になるまで。Statute of limitations. But how about in the States and Europe?
We've actually never had any sort of legal trouble. I mean, I think the thing that's most of a concern in the United States is like DMCA is hosting content that's infringing copyright. And there's a process for removing content, but like the truth is, most of the time I get a DMCA, the content on 4chan expires very quickly, just like Futaba. And I think this is one of the main differences between Nichan and 4chan is the fact that content on Nichan stays, pretty much indefinitely because you don't really remove anything. And for us, it's constantly cycling off the site. And so by the time I actually receive that email and read it and click it, the link's already gone. And so there isn't much kind of compliance to be done. And we haven't actually been taken to court. I have been to court though to testify in a trial. I mean, I was subpoenaed to testify. I wasn't jumping to do it, but I was required by law to do it, and that was an interesting experience because I got to explain memes and 4chan and the way the community works in front of a judge and a jury and the press. So that was a kind of a unforgettable
really
experience. Actually, they thought it was really boring. Reporters would duck out and they would complain about because they had to explain like how the IP addresses work, and they would just come out and kind of just be like, oh man, this is so boring. Where's the good stuff? So.
彼自体は4chan で訴えられたことなくて、DMCA 要は、版権ものなんでちゃんと落としてくださいと。で大体そういうレターとか来る前までに、4chan って永久的に保存してないから残んないからもうなくなってもう話はなくなる。だから自分が裁判されたことはないと。で2chanと違って永久的には保存しないから、アメリカではそういう対策でもやっぱりその知的財産というのが、一番問題になってくる分野ではあると。
まだ一回裁判出ていると。
で裁判出たのは、それなんでって聞くつもりなんだけど連邦政府の裁判に行って、IP アドレスがどうこうとか本当に 4chan のコミュニティどうやって作ってとかどういうふうになってるかとかその辺を説明してで裁判官も、陪審員がいて、証人が彼で、サピーナって言ってもう強制的に行かないと逮捕されちゃう。それぐらいなんか出てほしくってでその説明してレポーターたちはすごいがっかりもう IP の話聞きに来たんじゃないみたいなね。So what was the trial about?
It was US v. David Kernel, and the defendant, David Kernel, hacked Sarah Palin's email address, which is to say...
Oh, you were part of that?
Yeah, because the first place that... I mean, it wasn't really hacking. He reset her password and then was able to access her email. David Kernel. And he posted... The first place that he actually went and posted them was on 4chan. They caught... I think it was like he used a proxy to do it, and they had already caught him by the time they came to me. But they were like, "Hey, we have this guy.
They need an
He
expert."
posted on your website. And what do we, They're like,
なるほど。オバマ大統領の時の選挙戦でオバマ対マケインだったんだけど、マケインとセラ・ペイランでデイビッド・カーナルっていう人が、彼女の E メールをハッキングして、正確に言うと彼女のパスワードをリセットして彼女のメールを全部見れるようにしたと。でそのメールの内容を4ちゃんにあげてた、だから証人としてこう言った、自分は怒られなかったけど4ちゃんでそれを出してた、
2ちゃんでもよくあることですね。Yeah, same thing happened for me. Yeah, someone put some letters or some mails, so and then they're gonna get angry for me.
So it says happy mail. Read this. What's it say? 時間無制限で対談して本出ししてくれ。
本を出せってこと？
そういうこと？
ってこと？
おう、それ面白いね。Yeah, you should read this. 誰も訳してないな。So it says, it says we should not limit the time on the show. keep you guys going, and then make a book out of it. Because
didn't you write a book?
Actually, no. I published a lot of books, but I'm not a writer, so just printing their message, and then I made the book. So.
But that was pretty nice. I mean, that means they really enjoyed the show and enjoyed you being here. And yeah, thank you for coming all the way to Tokyo to do this.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thanks for having me, and everybody, thanks for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. で最後にできたらうんかむの方でニコユーザー専用の
さっきちらっとでしたけど、
ちらっと出てたから、あれ日本向けだけだっけ？なので日本語で。
Could you type the canvas search? ニコ。というわけでキャンバスの裏入り口をこれから
ここでやると全部出るよ。
Oh, no, wait. They're saying they'll post it themselves.
And they'll do it
Yeah.
just for the Japan site.
Yeah. 裏口裏入学。But they need a Facebook account.
Yeah, so we're using Facebook during so when you register an account, you sign up for like a Canvas login, and you connect with Facebook just to kind of verify the account. But we don't actually use your Facebook details anywhere on the site, and we don't store anything. Or I think we ask for email permission, so we can send you an email. But otherwise, your photo, your name, none of that stuff shows up on the site, so it's safe to use.
Oh yeah, safety.
So when you get that pop up,
and you also have the option, so you click through the pop-up, and you have the ability to contribute on Canvas anonymously. There's a checkbox that allows you to make all of your postings anonymously, and that's one of the things that obviously they learned from 4chan is that. It it allows people to be more kind of creative and authentic in a way. And so we want to keep that.
キャンバスっていうのは登録するときに一回 Facebook にE メールアドとかそういうのをチェックするんだけれども、それがなくてもアカウント作らなくても見れるような、4ちゃんと同じような仕組みでも見れると。What was that? Anonymity in Japanese.
匿名性？
匿名性、そうだから匿名性を生かしたいから、それでもできるし Facebook のアカウントがあれば、それでチェックしてもっといろんな情報機能が使えるということで、
別に Facebook のアカウントを使ってもメールアドレス送るぐらいで個人情報を取ったりしませんよと。
そうですね。
じゃあ It's safe.
It's safe.
So someone asking so why didn't you make a Japanese version of Canvas? Actually, I did ask before, but
So why didn't we translate it? It's something we'd like to do eventually. It's just nobody on the team speaks. I mean, I guess we could get it from the community, but it's something that we're focusing just on images. We're focusing on English right now, but we'd love to extend it to whoever wants to use it. It's just a matter of having the resources to do so.
日本語版を作んないんですかっていう。
今英語版に集中してるしベータだし、
日本語喋れる人いないし。
そう完成させないとねまず。But didn't Ko speak a little bit of Japanese? And John?
Yeah.
結構この2人ね日本語できるからいいんじゃない？
多分
ね、ほら日本語喋れるじゃない You guys are on screen now. So, so do you guys have Nico accounts?
Oh, I do, yes.
Oh, right.
I've been since 2007.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
もう2007年からニコ動のアカウントを持って
すごいね。
めっちゃユーザーとして古いへ
And
え
how about you? Cool.
About the same time.
あら
同時期
すげえへえ
じゃあ肝心なムートさんどうだろう
What?
You don't have an account, do you?
No, because I can't. I don't know how to register.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just go to the English site.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, I didn't realize that you could use the accounts. I mean, that's huge. Do you?
They're interchangeable.
Yeah, so I didn't know that until like yesterday when you mentioned that.
Yeah. まあ作ってくれると、今まで日本語版しかなかったからね、
まあねはい
まあうちも英語版はベータだから
はい
And our site's a beta too, so
というわけでそろそろ行かないと間に合わないのかな
お今からどこ行くのなんでそこで黙っちゃうの
言っていいのかなと思って「いや we got to go somewhere」いや we got to go somewhere
He's like, let's wrap it up, we gotta go. And I said, where are we going?
but
And he's not sure if he should say or not.
should I say
I don't know, is it okay?
Nobody even knows what we're talking about.
I know.
Nobody even in this room.
六本木
Yeah, we're going to Roppongi.
Yes
That's the big hint, Roppongi. So when's your next presentation or speech or big event that you're going to?
I'm actually going to Brazil for a conference called UPix in August. And where else? We're going to be, as a company, we're going to be at a photo hack day in New York. And I'll be speaking in, I think it's October, at the Web 2.0 Expo in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's it.
まあ今年のね、まあ彼ほとんどメディアに対してインタビューとかもしないし、これでニコ動で、2回目の、ビデオインタビューで、基本的には、まあ、スピーチとかそういうのはやるけれども基本的にはインタビューに応じない、それで、まあ、UPix っていう、まあイベントが8月にあってそこで話すのとフォトハックで、まあ、10月なんだけど Web2.0 のサンフランシスコのイベントで、スピーチをするということで、彼はねニューヨークに住んでるから、僕らもニューヨークに9月の頭ぐらいに行くから
はいはいはい
行くかな So are you
So
gonna
we're gonna meet you at New York maybe
Yeah, we should do something.
Yeah, because we'll be there.
New York
Nico/4chan off guy.
Yeah, there you go. We'll go party in the Greenwich Village or something. はいということで、
はいということでなんか終わらせろという話が来たのではいジェームスのホストでお送りしてきました1時間にわたるお話ですけども、今回のゲストは多分本名がクリストファー・プールさん
Do you have your passport?
ありがとうございました
ありがとうございました。みんな見ててありがとう。
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Oh, they're clapping. Look at that.
乾杯。もうこういう指示ばっかりだよね。はい